Thank you for joining me today on this video. During this video, I hope to share with you many ideas and the guide through the loan process. My name is Steve Marche. I love this business. Why? Why do I get excited each morning to get up? Because I love solving problems for people that want to obtain a home loan. I started in the real estate business and found that the biggest thing I had, or the concern I had, was getting people to the banks. In those days, in the 80s and 70s, the only thing you could go to was a major bank to obtain a real estate loan. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to be frustrated and waiting 30 days before I find the first phone call that says, "Oh, you need some more, Mr. Jones, you need some more paperwork." Or, "Gee, you didn't give me your tax return correctly." Or, "You didn't give me your pay stub," or "You missed one," or "You forgot to give me something else." And then you wait another 35, 40 days, and your kids are already moving in their rooms. They're thinking about playing ball in the backyard. And you're already ready to paint or do something in the house. Well, then you got 60 days, so now you're into it 90 days. The seller's screaming, the other realtor on the other side is screaming, "Where is these people to close the transaction?" And you know what? I'm frustrated also. I solve problems, and that's not the way to do it. And those lenders in those days, those big banks, just didn't have the people, the knowledge, or education to close loans if there was one little T not crossed or one I not dotted. So at that point, I decided I have to get in the mortgage business and learn it from A to Z and make sure that I know it better than anybody else. And that's why I get up excited, because I can solve that problem, that concern, put it together behind the scenes. Just like the camera, there's things going on behind the camera. And you know what's most important is that people don't want to wait. They want to be told, communicate. Today, we have emails. Today, we have telephones, cell phones, texting. I can text you, I can email you, and let you know where we are at any period of time so that you are in the loop and you are comfortable with the process. So as we go through this process, you will know exactly what's going on in the mortgage business, and I can guide you through the steps of each piece of the puzzle to obtain your dream home and the loan that you need to buy that home. May it be refi, working, a first property, a second property, or even investment property. Why use a mortgage broker? Well, let me share with you a simple concept. It's a concept called a tour guide. You go to a strange country, you could spend days trying to figure out and plan where to go, what the next step is, and by that time you wasted 2 or 3 days. So a tour guide in the mortgage business can alleviate all the concerns. Example, what do you need step by step? Who's going to do that for you? A mortgage broker that has education and knowledge. Also, what do we do when it comes to someone that has the best credit, the best income, and the best properties? You have to guide them through. Now, we love to problem solve. What does that mean? Well, let's give you an example and why the difference between a mortgage broker and a banker. A banker is paid a salary, and a mortgage broker is motivated to be paid by the banks to do it quicker, faster, safer, and efficiently. So, keep in mind, I'll tell you a little story about what has happened. A client came in here and he had great credit, great income, great job, and all the documentation that we step by step asked him for, they brought him in. And they followed everything. But prior to that, they went to 2 banks, turned down 90 days later each one, and guess what? They didn't get the property. And that must have really been hurtful for them. So here's what we did. We looked at everything and realized that in this business, it happened to be a teacher for the Unified School District. Now, normally they get paid 10 times a year, but in our client's case, they got paid 12 times a year. Now, that makes a lot of sense when you look at the industry as a whole. However, our clients gave us, as we requested in that tour guide session, their pay stubs, their W-2s, and their federal tax returns. Now, what did those show? The W-2 showed $61,000 one year and a little bit up, $62,000 the second year. Now in my books, that's $5,000 a month. Their federal tax returns documented that. But when the bank evaluated back when they were denied, they looked at it as these people mentally, I am a school teacher mindset for this underwriter. They looked at it as paying 10 times. So 10 times 5 is $50,000. Divided by 12 months, then they only made $4,000 a month. Well, this particular gentleman did not qualify for that home loan. So he was denied, but it took him 91 days to be denied and frustrated. Twice. Now what did we do? We just took all the paperwork, realized that the W-2s, the federal tax returns, all documented that this man had to be paid over a 12-month period at $61,000 a year. That, in my books, is still $5,000 a month. How did we solve the problem? We submitted the loan, got an approval, and closed in 2.5 weeks, and we had the happiest client you could ever get because we guided him down the river the right way to his dream home. What about those banks and credit unions? Oh, by the way, what about the online people too? Lack of education and knowledge. You remember that teacher story I told you about a little earlier in the video? You know what? The bank got all the documentation, but they neglected to really evaluate it and have someone of knowledge look at it and see the W-2s and the pay stubs and compare it, because in the industry it's normally 10 months that they're being paid. But in this case, you can tell by the W-2s and the tax returns, the federal tax returns, which we're documenting, show that they were paid 12 months. What's the motivation here? Well, as a motivation here, we get paid by the banks to do the job. The banks get paid a salary. So why would you want to go to a bank and waste all that time, 30, 60, 90 days? I personally would like to know right away, what can a mortgage broker do for you? Get the paperwork, evaluate it, and in 5 to 10 minutes, tell you exactly what to do and how to get your dream loan and close it. Because the only way to do that is to evaluate it. Now, an online mortgage company doesn't have contacts. They like to do everything by email and stuff like that. But you have someone to call. Communication is so valuable. Now, what can a mortgage broker do? Be honest. Give you a lower rate, wholesale, and no points. How do you choose a mortgage broker? Really, what is the process and how would you go about it? You know, there's a lot of misconceptions about home loans. You know, you just can't get on the phone and ask for a quote. It doesn't happen. Let me give you an example of why. Pretend I'm a doctor and you're calling me and telling me that you have a pain. I can't see through the phone. I don't know where your pain is and I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to diagnose you. But having a knowledgeable person, gathering the right information, asking you the right questions up front will always get you the closest rate information that you can get. Now, let's talk about a story and let's see where we go with that. Many times clients go out and they get a quote online, at the bank, but they never run their credit. And they never look at their tax returns or W-2s or pay stubs. What if they're self-employed? And they deduct everything and then there's a net. Well, that changes the whole picture. But if you don't know your middle score and you don't run a real estate credit report, it's not going to be the same. There's a different report for cars when you buy and lease a car than there is for real estate. So if you want the true story, get a mortgage broker that has education, communication, and that wants to help you. Build a relationship with a mortgage broker. Why? Why would you start with a mortgage broker? So that you can qualify for a loan amount to buy the house that you would like. Now, To find out what that house is, you need to have a real estate person to take you and show you those properties. Now, when you see those properties, you have that preconception now from the mortgage broker of how much you can qualify for so that you can then get your offer accepted. However, here's what you want to do. You want to get that real estate agent that you're comfortable with to see the property, and then you come back to us, the mortgage broker, to get a pre-approval so that when you submit your offer for the property that you and your realtor, your buying team have found, you now have a solid way to go to that seller and feel comfortable yourself, and the seller feels comfortable with you buying their property because you're qualified to buy that specific home at 123 7th Street. And that's your home buying team. Prepare your paperwork. Well, that's a great tip. It does save time, and it does require certain things that you must do. An example, some of your bank statements have two sides, side 1 and side 2. And if you had 12 pages, the back side is page 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. But keep in mind, there is a blank page, usually intentionally blank. We do need that. Now, you can get that information from your mortgage broker. What I like to do is give you a list of those minor things, a very short list, so that you can come in and bring those and we can take care of that. That's how to save time and prepare your paperwork. How does credit affect your loan, your interest rates? You can get a loan with any credit score. You would want to work with a mortgage broker to get the very best rate. You realize that we evaluate your credit profile so that you can obtain the best rate? We can also make suggestions to increase your score. How do you do that? Here's an example. If you have a credit card with a $1,000 limit, that's the highest limit you can borrow, and you owe 90%, your rate's going to go down. Now, if you pay that down to 30% of the high limit, that $1,000, that's $300, then your score will go up. That is the simplest example that we can give you today to raise your score and get you the best possible rate. Use that mortgage broker. Thank you for choosing and spending your time educating yourself in this loan process. I hope I was able to help you get a clear understanding of how to make the loan process easy. We have a saying at Great American Funding Corp that if you can make the payments, we can get you a loan. We're here to help. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions that you may have.